soldiers, veterans. These are the men and women that go off to fight wars for this country, to do their part, or some people would say their duty, as a citizen who's grateful for the freedoms that this country allows us. Unfortunately, they came back to the world, some broken mentally, physically, or both. Now, according to ABC News affiliate Channel 13 in Washington, D.C. on September the 27th, 2018, suicide in veterans 18 to 34 rose by 10%. That is up 10% from the 2015-2016 statistics provided by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Now, that is the highest in any age group around. Allow me to tell you about the conception of the Wounded Warrior Project, which I will refer to as the WWP, the trials, tribulations, successes, and continued fighting they do for our veterans before and after their scandal. The WWP is a nonprofit 501c3 corporation that's headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida. This is their motto: the greatest casualty is being forgotten. And when you actually think about that, it speaks volumes inside. It was founded in Roanoke, Virginia by John Malia, who's an ex-Marine who in Somalia in 1992 was severely injured in a helicopter crash. Now, the WWP was founded in 2003 and it was a division of the United Spinal Association of New York. They adopted the WWP program. Then in 2005, they allocated $2.7 million to the WWP so that way they could operate as a standalone charity with their own programs and their own identity. The WWP is known specifically for one thing that they give all veterans that come to them, and it's their media assembled packs. It gives them all the information they need to find out about different programs, different things that they can do to help and get help for themselves. The WWP does have long-term support for veterans. It's in the forms of compensation, insurance, housing, healthcare, employment, and that's just to name a few of them. In 2016, scandal hit, a big one. The WWP CEO, Stephen Nardizzi, and the COO, Al Giordano, they were fired for spending money from the WWP on lavish items for themselves personally and for the company retreats. Several former employees said that they were terminated because they raised concerns about the financial mismanagement between these guys. Now, the WWP survived that because of how quick they went in, took care of the problem, and got rid of the cancer, which was their CEO and their COO. Now, the Wall Street Journal reported on March 12th of 2016 that the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2014, the WWP took in $312.5 million in contributions and grants. That was up 39% from the prior year. I called the WWP in Jacksonville, Florida, and I spoke with one of their information advocates, Ashley. She informed me that the board has changed a lot of things. One, they no longer have a board chairman of the board. The board of directors works as one cohesive unit with their new CEO, Michael Linnington, their CFO, Eric Miller, their CPO, Jennifer Silva, and their CDO, Gary Corliss. They all work to get all of the programs put together and out there. Now, the biggest proponent of a suicide rate comes from PTSD. The Mental Health Weekly Digest, 21 August 2017, had an article written about a U.S. Army veteran, Mike Atkinson. He suffered from PTSD. He was quoted as saying, "I definitely underestimated post-traumatic stress, and I allowed it to control my life. I lost everyone and everything I liked or loved. It left me extreme hate, rage, fear, anger, depression, and anxiety. I abused alcohol and drugs to cope with my mixed emotions." After he started going to the WWP and they started helping him and got him the proper help he needed, he said he could tell how much they cared about the recovery and the successes of all the other soldiers and veterans that they seriously helped. Next one. Now, the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, this is part of the 2015-2016 statistics. And right here, is how our vets are killing themselves when they come home. 69.4% put a gun in and kill themselves. 10.6% poison themselves. 15% they suffocate themselves, which means they hang themselves. And 5.1% for others. Now they compared it with non-veterans. The percentage of male veteran suicide deaths, 70.6%. Female veteran suicide deaths, 41.2%. As you can see, people that don't go off to war, the suicide deaths, which not to say it's cool, it's not, but they're a lot lower than the people who have actually gone off. Go to the next one, please. This is another showing by the years and how it's gone up and down, and right here is the 18 to 34. And once again, that is the highest age group. Now, the Rand Health Quarterly on 9 May 2016 said PTSD is usually dealt with by drinking in vets, and that also adds to the mental disorder of PTSD. Now, drugs are actually also associated with it. I suffered from PTSD when I was younger, and when I was 18. And it wasn't from the military, it was something else very tragic. And I can tell you that's how I treated it. Alcohol, drugs, whatever you can to get your mind out of there. And it takes a while to come back from that. Now, 23 October of this year, so last week, the WWP has just invested $160 million into veteran mental health care. These veterans will now have a chance to get extended care, deeper care. They are also helping to advise Congress about the programs and the initiatives to implement in the VA itself to help the soldiers to treat PTSD, because that is the main thing that we have a problem with, is PTSD. Now, the WWP, in conclusion, they've overcome obstacles, they've created opportunities for veterans to get the help they need, whether it's dealing with PTSD, prosthetic limbs, healthcare, employment. They do a raising awareness fundraisers. They just did one in September where a bunch of veterans, some without limbs, rode bicycles from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast across America just to raise awareness and to fundraise. Now, from the scandal, they've recovered with almost no damage. People bring it up, but there's really nothing to say about it anymore. Because as they continue to move forward, veterans will still go to them first from any other organization because they have the most to offer and the most help to give. That's it.